right. New Year. Happy New Year, everyone. First endurance-minded episode of 2025. And I got to say, it feels pretty good. A lot happened last year, as most years do. They're jam-packed and plenty going on, but it leaves me thinking about what's ahead. We're a few days in to 2025, and it's only natural that we're thinking about what's in the future. What does this year have to offer? What can we control? What can't we control? What don't we know about yet? What's going to blindside us? What's going to throw us for a loop? What are going to be our wins? What are going to be our losses? And one of the things that I love most about this time of year is goal setting. I love reflection. I love setting my sights on what's ahead. I like thinking about what I'm capable of, what I want to accomplish, how do I define success. And I like to think about that in a lot of different ways, meaning that I'm not just thinking about that, or I don't like to think about that purely through an outcome-based lens. So what can I accomplish? What can I finish? What boxes can I check? But what direction am I heading in? What does it look like to continue to pursue my full potential, maybe without a complete overhaul, maybe without doing more, specifically doing more new things, but really leaning in and working on mastery. And that's what I want to talk about today. And I think this episode will ultimately be fairly short and sweet because I want it to be primarily a reflection. While I typically really aim to give everyone very actionable takeaways from these episodes, what I want you to do today and what I'd like to leave you with is just some language to reflect on, to think about what the year ahead looks like. And I want to think about doing more of the same. So this time of year, we're full of resolutions. We're full of goals, like I just talked about. Our lists are overflowing. We have notes on our phone. We have calendars. We have worksheets. We're doing this at work, at home, with our family. And that's all great. But upon my own reflection, I was prompted to think about this podcast. And I recognize that this is our 6th year doing Endurance Minded. And I made a commitment to myself, most notably, but also to anyone that would join the Endurance Minded community along the way, that if I was going to start this, I was going to stick with it. And so without fail, for 6 years, we've put out an episode every second Tuesday, no matter what's going on, no matter the holidays, no matter if I was sick, if I was on vacation, if I was traveling for work, if I had meetings, whatever was happening, I've put out an episode. I don't say that to toot my own horn or to say that I've got it all figured out. I say that because consistency is what matters. And consistency compounds. And I think so often this time of year, we jump very quickly to what can I do different? What do I want to change? What is new year, new me look like? What's my resolutions? And while this is not going to be a resolution podcast, primarily because I don't believe in resolutions, they don't tend to work, but that's another topic for another time. I want you to think about what can you do more of? Because I think so often and too quickly, we jump to what's the next thing? What's the next shiny object? What's the next big goal? And quite honestly, I don't think that we give the things we're doing enough time to work. If every year we set new goals, we reach for a different thing, we put more things on the calendar, again, with this mindset of new year, new me, then that doesn't really give us any time to work on mastery. It doesn't give us the opportunity to focus on and identify what's working. Because the fact of the matter is that there are lots and lots of things in life that require more than a year. There's things that take 5 years, 10 years. There's things that we work on for a lifetime. And so if we go for a total overhaul too quickly, I think it shortchanges the process. And I think it cuts us off from really accomplishing and seeing a lot of really amazing things through that had we have just stuck with it, it would have been something really, really impactful. So first and foremost, while you're setting goals, while you're looking at your list, while you're thinking ahead to the new year, I want you to think about what can you do more of? What worked in 2024? What worked in 2023 and 22 and so on? What are some of the things that worked that you either need to continue to do more of, or maybe you recognize that you didn't give them enough time and you might just need to lean in? And this has really been one of the most impactful exercises to me, is the very simple question of, what do I want to do more of in 2025? What do I want to do more of this year? What do I need to continue to do? And what that allows us to do is twofold. One, again, it allows us to recognize that consistency is what matters. So we might just need to stay the course. Secondly, and maybe most importantly, is it also gives us an opportunity to celebrate the things that work. One of the things that I don't like about resolutions, and I don't like about the new year, new me sentiment, is that it doesn't give credence, and it doesn't recognize what we accomplished enough. It doesn't give enough weight to the year that's behind us. Right? New year, new me. Well, then does that say that the me that was present last year was crap? I don't think so. And I know that that's not really why we say that and why we set resolutions, but I think that there is a reframe. And part of that reframe comes with celebrating what worked, recognizing that, taking time to put some language to that, to lean into it, and also to carve out time to do more of it, right? So that it's not a wholesale overhaul every single year. The fact of the matter is for us to be really good at things, for us to be the people that we want to be, for the things in our lives to take shape and to take hold and to really cement themselves, it takes a long time. And a year, quite honestly, is just not that long, right? We dramatically overestimate what we can accomplish in a year, and we underestimate what we can accomplish in 5 years. So let's extend the runway. Right? Life, I don't know about you, but life moves pretty fast, and a year goes by like that. So maybe we just need to give it more time. So I want you to ask yourself the question, what can you do more of? What do you need to lean into? What do you need to keep going at? And I want you to do this in lots of areas of your life, specifically the key areas that you care about. I've talked a lot about non-negotiables on this podcast. So what do your non-negotiables look like if you continue to lean in? Right? Maybe it's not a totally new exercise routine. Maybe it's not an event that's longer or harder or more difficult or requires more of you. Maybe it's mastery in the thing that you're doing right now. Now, I'm not advocating that reaching isn't a good thing, that you can't get excited and set your sights on newer, bigger, longer, harder things. I've done that a lot, and I think it's great. But if we jump to that purely because we think that's the only next step, And that the only way this year and our time spent is worthwhile is if we do something that is different. If it's a wholesale overhaul, then I think that that's where there's opportunity for an adjustment. Can we lean in? Can we do more of the same? Right? Instead of burning the candle at both ends, can we just focus on doing more of the things that work? Right? Really maximizing the time that we have. If we look at it in our personal and our lives and our relationships, what's working? Right? Instead of trying to be a totally different person, what are the things I'm good at? Right? Where can I show up and support people? Right? How are the ways that I'm a good friend? Let me try to do more of that instead of trying to new year, new me and be someone that I'm not, or force something that doesn't feel right, or force something that's outside of my non-negotiables. How can I lean in and do more of the right things? In our romantic relationships, how can I show up in a way that's in alignment for, I'll speak for myself, for my wife, right? Instead of trying to be someone totally different, how can I do more of what I'm good at? How can I focus on where I really shine? And again, with our exercise and our physical practice, maybe it's not a wholesale overhaul. I think that there's certainly now more than ever, there's this distrust and almost disdain for consistent application of very simple things. What I mean by that is if the workout is not overly convoluted, if it doesn't change every week, if it's not always mixing it up, if it's not, then somehow it's not good. The body ultimately is a simple machine and it responds to consistent stimuli over long periods of time. So maybe instead of trying to switch up your workout every week and mix it up, do the same workout. Get good at it. Give your body a chance to adapt. Master those movements. Instead of trying to do a million different intervals on the bike or the run, do the same intervals for a few months. Carry that through the spring. Work on mastery. Get to know those intervals. Get to know that effort. Get to know the perceived exertion. Understand what those things feel like instead of mixing it up. Again, we prioritize now more than ever a jack of all trades and a master of none. And I think that there is still lots of space and lots of opportunity and a tremendous amount of value in mastery. So don't mix it up if you don't have to. Now, certainly that, mixing things up is the spice of life. And variety is not a bad thing. So I'm not saying that it has to be stale, but I think we look for variety at the expense of being better at things, getting good, spending time with something that requires effort and time. And so if you feel drawn to mix it up, if you feel drawn to variety just because, ask yourself if you can do more of the same thing. One of the greatest things that I've found for me is I've essentially done the same strength training exercise Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for the last 5 years. And what I've worked on is mastery. And I've worked on feeling more comfortable with those movements. I've worked on making those movements heavier and more intense, but I focused on mastery. And if I didn't feel like I had mastery, I moved back. So I didn't always progress forward. It wasn't every week had to be better. There were months where I pulled back to focus on form, to focus on feeling the movement, to focus on how my feet contacted the ground, how my knees felt in the movement, my back, my shoulders. I wanted to know these movements well so that I could really feel confident that I invested my time in something that's meaningful. And again, I say that to say that variety isn't always what gets you to where you want to go. Sometimes just leaning in, sometimes just doing more of the same stuff. I've found that the things that yield the most and highest and best results in our lives are often the least sexiest. It's just doing the same thing tomorrow that you did today and trying to be a little bit better. And if you can't be better, recognize why you're not better. Take that as a data point. pull back, refine, retool, and come back at it again. And so this time of year, again, as you sit, as you reflect, as you're signing up for races, you're getting excited about events, you're thinking about who you want to be and what you want to accomplish and what it's going to look and feel like this time at the end of next year. This time next year, as we sit at the very beginning of 2026, make space for doing some things consistently. Make space for doing some of the things more often that are working. I promise you that not everything needs to change. And even if you don't feel that way, I want you to ask yourself, what can you do more of? What is working? Take stock. Because if we don't have language to describe that, if we're not aware of it, if we're not cognizant of the things that are working, then we might as well have made a wholesale change anyway. Right? If we don't think critically about that process and we don't lean in, then it's just the same as mixing it up because we didn't give that thing enough time and energy and credence and weight. So before you make an overhaul, before you set your sights on new year, new me, being a totally different person, switching things up, I promise you there's some parts that can stay the same and you might just need to double down on. And ask yourself what really worked in this last year and what can you do more of? And so, like I said, this episode is going to be short and sweet. I just wanted to leave you with that. I wanted to give you a bit of my experience and some of what I see out in the world in all of my interactions with people, in that I think that there is just a tremendous opportunity to just simplify. Do more of some of the things. Do more of one thing. Find one thing that worked last year. And let's do more of that. Let's factor it in. Now, again, by all means, reach. Set crazy goals. Push yourself. Absolutely. I'm here for it. But I promise you that part of the equation to reaching those goals is some of the stuff you're doing right now. You just need to get better at it. You just need to get more comfortable with it. You need to integrate it more consistently. So again, it's not the overhaul. It's not the sexy, here's the 6 things I'm going to do to change who I am this year. It's 1 or 2 of those things and a lot of things that we're doing right now that you can lean into. And I really want you to think about that if you're on the edge of some big change. So if this year is bringing about changes that you're aware of in your job, in your personal life, in your health and fitness goals, if you already know that there is something changing this year, it's going to require more of you. It's going to require a shift, more time, more energy. Now's the time. Before you get too deep into it, think about what you can do more of. What are the things that have worked? Take stock of that. And how can you apply them to the pursuit of the new thing that you're doing? The new job, the new race, the new event, the new level of fitness, the new relationship, the same relationships that you have, but elevated, prioritized. What can you do more of? I promise you that is where there's a lot of secret sauce in there. And if we lean in, that really is what's going to make this year feel like a wholesale change, feel different. And the outcome, I promise you, when we're standing at this same time next year, you will be able to say that you have accomplished new things and you are someone different, not because you did different things, but because you chose to do more of the same things that are working. You chose to lean into consistency, and I promise you that's going to yield massive, massive results. Just a quick aside here. For anyone in the health and wellness space, if you're a coach, dietitian, personal trainer, as you know, if you've listened to this podcast, that is the space that I'm immensely passionate about. I've spent a lot of my career in, and I'm committed to making a change in that industry, specifically for entrepreneurs in that space. If that is you, real quick, January 18th at 9 a.m., we are doing a virtual workshop that I'd like to invite you to. This is truly my gift to this industry. You don't have to be associated with anything that I'm doing. This is a chance to get clear on what's ahead. This is a clear chance to build a framework and to get a very clear roadmap of what the year ahead looks like. What does consistency look like? What can you do more of specifically to attract clients and build a business that's in alignment with your goals for 2025? You're going to leave with a roadmap for 2025. You're going to leave with tactical solutions for client and customer acquisition. We're going to work on some mindset pieces to help you shift how you're thinking about this year, how you're thinking about yourself as a business owner, and what your business means for you and the life that you want to live. So if any of that feels like it is even remotely in alignment with where you're at right now, I want to invite you to our January 18th workshop. We'll have the links for that in the show notes. You can also get access to that on all of our social media channels. It's at Thomas Endurance Coaching. There'll be posts about it there. There's a link in the bio. You can contact me. I want to get you the information again. This is my gift to our industry to really help everybody start strong. So if you're in that space, if that sounds like you, January 18th, it's virtual. You can join from anywhere in the world. And I really genuinely hope to see some of our audience there so that we can all collectively start this year strong, understand what works, what does consistency look like, be better versions of ourselves, and build businesses that support the highest and best versions of who we are and how we want to show up in the world. So thank you so much. As always, I appreciate everyone in this community. I can't wait for what 2025 has to bring. We've already got some awesome stuff lined up, and I can't wait to dive in and dig deep and continue to be consistent on this front and do more of what's working. Thank you all so much, and Happy New Year. I'll see you next time on Endurance Minded.